or high. Valencia, the city in Spain, the center of autonomous community Valencia and the province of the same name. The city of Spain, the third in the number of inhabitants, after Madrid and Barcelona. It is located at confluence of partially drained Turia River in the Mediterranean Sea. The city Valencia is located on the coast of the Mediterranean Sea of the Iberian Peninsula, on the big alluvial plain of the Júcar and Turia rivers, in the center of the Gulf of Valencia. The primitive city was approximately 4 kilometers from the sea, on the river island of Turia. The closest mountains to the city, some of the last foothills of the Iberian system in the Valencian community, such as El Puig and Sierra Calderon. Valencia is characterized by typical subtropical climate of the Mediterranean type. Average annual temperature in the city is 18.6 C. Vosfont includes a part of the massif of El Alto de San Antonio, El Carrascar de la Fontroya and Lot Alzart. Por Sierra del Menicador, 1356 m, is the highest point of the park. In the coldest and damp areas of the park, as well as on the sites located at the height of 1250 meters, the deciduous wood meets. Here such species of trees as an ash tree, a maple, a yew, an oak Portuguese and a mountain ash grow. The plants growing here are rare for Valencia. In a forest part of the park there lives the great number of birds, a robin, a wren, a chaffinch, a big titmouse, a jay grey, a caracapelli creeper, a hawk tetrevutnik, a falcon sapson, a white-headed vulture. From mammals the abundance distinguishes a boar. Also in the park live an ordinary genet caress, a wildcat, a marten and a badger. The city is founded by Romans in 138 BB, though on the place of the city there were settlements of Greeks and Carthaginians earlier. In the 1st century BB the city was besieged and occupied by Lusitania, which practically destroyed the settlement. Soon after defeat of a revolt, the Roman consul Decimuni Brutus Calica anew built up the city and called Valentian. That, besides the direct translation fortress, also meant the good sign. Antique Valentian's blossoming falls on the period of government of the Emperor Augustus. The new colony began to develop in this period promptly in cultural and commercial area that was promoted by his arrangement on important trade viaduct Sucrenense Road. The Roman period of history of Valencia came to the end in 413 when Valencia was captured by Visigoths. And also other Roman fortresses of the region, in particular, of Sagunt fell. In 714 the city was won by Moors, having included the city in structure of the Cordoba Caliphate. Under Islamic dominion the active development of Valencia, which almost stopped in the period of government of Visigoths, was resumed. By 718 the population of the city reached 15,000 people. The beginning of the 11th century is an era of the highest blossoming of Mauritian Valencia, which became the capital of the Mauritian kingdom formed after disintegration of the Caliphate. During almost 5 centuries, with a short break at the end of the 11th century, governments of Moors, the network of irrigation canals was created, city walls are reconstructed. 1021-1061. Impressive public buildings. The Arab baths remained up to now. Are built, and the city became one of the centers of the Mediterranean trade. In 1094 the legendary Spanish commander Rodrigo Diaz de Viva, better known as Cid Campeador, could take Valencia and exempt her from Moors, then governed her up to the death in the 1099. During the Boards, it turned Valencia from the Muslim city into one of the largest Christian centers of Spain of the time. In particular, by 1096 all Muslim mosques of Valencia were destroyed or remade in church. During the period from 1099 to 1102, Cid's wife Jimena ruled Valencia. However, subsequently she was forced to leave the city to Moors. At retreat, Christians burned Valencia. In 1102 in the city, Islamic dominion was established again. As well as for all Spain of the time, this period is characterized by peaceful coexistence of Christians, Muslims and Jews in the conditions of religious tolerance. The city was finally won by Christians only in 1238, when the King Jaime I Aragonese conducted successful storm of the city and pushed aside Moors from territories adjacent to Valencia. Jaime announced lands of the present provinces of Alicantes, Valencia and Castile and the independent state as a part of the Aragonese crown, which received the name the Kingdom Valencia.
In the same time, so-called liberties, the Code of Laws of the Young Kingdom of Valencia are created, and the oldest code of maritime law, the Book of Sea Consulate, is written. In the city meetings of the Water Tribunal, monitoring distribution of water for watering of farmlands began to be held.
By this time, the beginning of active temple construction in the city belongs. In 1238 the first city church is built, and in the 1262 the cathedral was put. In 1377 the King Pedro ceremony proclaimed Valencia, twice devoted city. In this connection on her coat of arms 2 letters 50 appeared.
In the 15th-16th centuries, the Kingdom Valencia becomes one of the largest economic powers on the Mediterranean coast. The city became a powerful shopping center.
A basis of export were silk, textiles and ceramics. The city trade aristocracy uses essential financial privileges. In 1407 the first city bank financing transactions at the merchant exchange was open. Cultural blossoming of the city finds reflection in magnificent buildings of the time. The Silk Exchange, a tower of the cathedral, El Nigolet, etc. Strengthening of power of the city was promoted in many respects by delivery to Valencia in 1437 of Sacred Graal, a bowl from which, according to the legend, apostles took communion on the Last Supper and in which blood of Jesus Christ crucified on a cross was collected later. Unlike a mystical bowl which owners were Templars, this bowl was officially recognized by Vatican as one of tools of passions. After discovery of America and adjustment of the sea message through Atlantic, the center of business interests began to be displaced on the Atlantic coast. Soon the central authorities of Madrid broke resistance of the Valencian financial aristocracy and deprived of it all privileges. Exile from the country in 1609 of baptized Moors. Morisque. In many respects promoting prosperity of Valencia and all Spain, became crushing blow on city economy. It caused a deep economic crisis, as at the time they made a third of the population of the city in a basis of his labors. During war for the Spanish inheritance, Valencia sided Habsburg in the person of Charles VI. In this regard, after the victory of Bourbons in fight at Almans in April 1707, Philip V Bourbon abolished the local privileges of Valencians.
In addition, Philip V abolished autonomy of the Kingdom of Valencia and completely subordinated her lands to the Aragonese corona.
Besides independence laws, Valencia appeared also before threat of loss of own language as his use was officially forbidden. In 1808-1812 during Fight of Spain Valencia mining Napoleon Bonaparte heroically reflected an impact of the French troops. The certificate of water in particular, is Reshini shells of a tower of quartz, some of city gate.
However in 1812 city resistance nevertheless was broken and the city within a short period of time.
To the middle of 1813 was under the power of the French. In the middle of the 19th century the general revival of economy, mainly thanks to trade in citrus and rice, allowed to carry out the considerable transformations which changed the image of Valencia. In 1865 the fortifications containing growth of the city were demolished.
During Civil War of 1936-1939 the city was the place of stay of the Republican government, actually temporary capital of Spain.
In 1988 the subway of Valencia, which part also tram lines is open. On July 3, 2006 in the subway there was an accident which entailed 41 human victims. The city is divided into 19 administrative regions which, in turn, are divided into subdistricts.
Some areas and subdistricts of Valencia were earlier independent municipalities which were attached to the city in the second half of the 19th century.
In particular it is subdistricts Beneferri, Benimahmet, Petrash and Ruzafa who appear in a census of 1877 as Valencia's part. Els Oriols since 1887. Borbo, Campanar, Macula, Pueblo Nuevo del Mar and Villanueva del Grau, in a census of 1897. Carpesa and Masarog, in a census of 1900. Administrative regions and subdistricts of Valencia. 50 Amistad, 50 Hilya Perduda, La Vega Basha, La Carrasca and Ciutat Hardy. Benicalip and Ciutat l'Artista Foller. Benimaclet and Cami de Vera. Keminzalgra. Eora Albers, Cami Fondo, La Crudalgra and Peñiroca. Campana, Le Tendits, San Pau and Alcalvari. Putercarers. La Panta, La Fonteta de San Luis, Melilla, Mentalavit, Naravelia, Ciutat, the Wood Arts, and the Wood Sciences and Encourts. 50 Olivereta. Lalayam, La Fontsanta, New Knolls, Soterns and Tres Forks. 50 Yashampo. Gran Viaduct, Pla del Remy and Rusafa. La Sadia. Marcelines, Morvedre, San Antony, Tormos and Trinitat. Petrash. Bar de Cortes, Petrash, San Isidro, Safraner and Favara. Pla del Real.
50 Expositio, Mestalia, Ciutat Universitaria and Jaime Roig.
Poblats Maritims.
Butero, La Holy-Hogdu, Natzaret, El Grau de Valencia and El Cabanal.
Liost. Benimahmet and Beneferri. Pobos del Nord.
Burboto, Carpesa, Lacases de Barcina, Masarocos, Moelia and Pobl Nou.
Pobos del Sud. La Torre, Pinedo, Faitanar, El Castillo Liberal, El Palmar, El Paralianet, El Sailor and El Forn del Sado. Ruscania. San Lyrens, Torrefuel and Els Oriols. Ciutat Vella. La Sau, La Cheria, San Francesc, El Carme and El Mercat. Jesus. Pomeril, 50 Hort de Seneber, La Crucaberta, La Arlosa and San Marcel. La Pachina, La Roqueta, Park Central and El Botanist. Economy. Historically, the city was the center of the textile industry and trade. At the present stage, in the neighborhood of Valencia, many industrial enterprises, including the plant of Ford, are located. The city is also the center of tourism. In 1933, there was a free airport, taking the 11th place on passenger traffic in Spain. The port of Valencia, one of the largest ports of Spain. This city is generally Spanish-speaking, but the government propagandizes Valencian. The population substantially grows thanks to immigration. People live in Valencia's agglomeration so much. Education. In Valencia, 4 universities are located. 2 of them state. The largest of them are the Polytechnical University of Valencia, UP, and Valencia's University, founded in 1499. There is a Royal Academy of Art San Carlos. The city is rich with sites: huge Gothic cathedral, where the bull, which is recognized by Catholic Church in the person of the Pope, Sacred Graal, is stored. With the bell tower known under the name Miguelit, the ancient church is ornated outside and inside fragments of city strengthenings, including several impressive gate, the medieval Gothic building of the Silk Exchange of Lolonc, ancient urban development. Graceful constructions. 19, the beginnings of the 20th century in modernist style. The central market, the station, post office. The museums, a modern zoo and an oceanarium. Valencia is included into the World Heritage of Mankind since 1996. It is constructed on the place of the mosque in the 13th, 15th centuries, after transition of control over the city from Moors to Spaniards during Reconquista. The cathedral is decorated with paintings, stained glass windows, statues of saints. The Museum of Science and Technology of a name of Prince Felipe, adapted for school students who were offered to touch and put in action his exhibits surely.
Valencia repeatedly suffered from floods of the river Turia flowing through it.
Eventually, the decision to start up the Po River to the new course to the south from the city was made. The earth of the former bed of the river gave for construction of the town of arts and sciences. Buildings are located in the new park, 10 kilometers long. The part of the territory is decorated with ponds and pools. The chief designers of a complex, Santiago Calatrava and Felix of Candel. In the territory of a complex, in the 2019 year, there took place shootings of the 3rd season of series, World of the Wild West. In Valencia, about 50 museums, including Museum of Fine Arts of Valencia, Museum of Ceramics of González Martí, Military Museum, Valencia, Museum of History of Valencia, Blanca de la Seda, the medieval Gothic building of the Silk Exchange, the Museum of the Patriarch, called in honor of Juan de Ribera, ancient painting, Gallery of the Modern Art Item, the Museum of Science of a name of Prince Philip, the huge interactive science museum, a component of the City of Arts and Sciences. Ries's Museum, Blasco Ibáñez's House Museum, Holidays and traditions. The main holiday, Falls, is celebrated within a week, about 1 day of street. Yesef. On March 19. It is a competition of huge sculptures from the paper matches symbolizing various human defects which are burned in the last night of a holiday. All week there are also fireworks, various competitions, parades, and also a daily bullfight with participation of the best imitators. In the late 80s, Valencia became the all-Spanish center of music, of a techno, and a point of an attraction for ravers. Sharply, consumption of drugs and the number of accidents on roads grew. By 1995, the majority of cult discos of Valencia was closed. Typical Valencian dish, a paella. It happens several versions. The traditional Valencian paella prepares with chicken, a rabbit, and sometimes snails. Prepare also a paella with seafood, the mixed paella, with meat and seafood, and even a vegetarian paella. Also, the structure of the used vegetables varies. Green beans, white beans, red pepper, artichokes, etc. There is a version where rice is replaced with vermicelli. It is called a fideuà. In honor of Valencia the asteroid. 5941. Valencia, discovered by the astronomer Lyudmila Karachina in the Crimean Astrophysical Observatory on October 20, 1982, is called. Famous people. In Valencia was born and often the Spanish singer and the film actress Concha Piquer went on tour. 1908-1990. She was even called not the Spanish, but the Valencian singer. Sport. In Valencia, the basketball and football clubs of the same name are based. The Valencia CF is one of the strongest clubs of Spain. 6 times the club won the Championship of Spain and 7 times a cup. Twice in a row. 2000 and 2001. Valencia played in the Champions League final of OEA, but conceded both times. The oldest football club in the city is Levante. In 2008-2012 in Valencia on the street circuit, the stage of the races Formula 1 was held by the Grand Prix of Europe. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.